To hold the Torah, as we did just now, is to hold the weight of our tradition handed down from Moses on Mount Sinai to us. It is to hold hundreds of generations of knowledge given to us meticulously, fastidiously, from one person, one community to the next. It is to hold what took a scribe a year to write one letter at a time, not being allowed to make even one mistake along the way. It is to hold what is most important in your arms at one time. Torah is the way we physically demonstrate the love between God and the Jewish people, between ourselves and our ancestors. However, it is not easy to hold the Torah, right? It's not easy because Torah is often quite heavy. Sorry, Mark. Sometimes upwards of 25 pounds or more. It's not easy because it has an awkward shape that never seems to rest comfortably in your arms. It's not easy because we put limitations on when we can carry the Torah, who can hold the Torah, and how they should hold it. It's not easy because we're always reminded that if the Torah drops, right, 40-day fast. It's not easy because we're told that the sweat from our fingertips, the strength of our hands, can damage the parchment. It's not easy because we've been told so over and over and over again. As a community, we put limitations on the carrying and handling of our sacred text, just as God instructed our people thousands of years before not to climb Mount Sinai as Moses was receiving the law. Thunder and lightning formed barricades to entrance like angels who guarded our return to Garden of Eden, swords in their hands threatening anyone who dared come near. That's what our allusion on the ark is to the smoke and the fire of God. Tonight, I would like to offer an amendment to those parameters, a new way to think about the scrolls that we keep stored away in our holy ark. For some, this might be a radical change. For others, this has already been true for some time. Before I explain further, let me see by a show of hands how many of us gathered here have actually held the Torah. Hey, we did our job. Nice. To those of us that haven't, this is a loss, because holding a Torah is our way of feeling part of the Jewish people. You feel something when you hold the Torah. Like a baby resting in our arms, the Torah is a physical embodiment of everything Judaism teaches us. It's a testament to our duty to lishinantan levanecha, to teach our children, just like we ourselves were taught, just as generations prior have received it. Lador vador, from generation to generation, is the fundamental way we make Torah and Eitz Chaim, a tree of life. During a bar bat mitzvah ceremony, I see some recent bar bat mitzvahs here. Who here had their bar bat mitzvah under me? Some of you. Those of you at Sinai, we didn't do it back then. This was a custom that came from Temple Beth Am. But during the ceremony that we have here, we actually line up the generations. We start with the grandparents, if they're available, or great-grandparents in some cases. Oh, we did it sometimes at Sinai, too. Okay, there you go. Then the parents and maybe siblings, and all the way to the child itself. This is the one section of the bar bat mitzvah that we are guaranteed to need some tissues for. Because as we take the Torah out, handing it from one generation to the next, having them actually pass it, they feel what they're actually there to do on that day, which is to pass Torah down, pass Judaism down to their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, or children, or siblings. There's just one problem. And that's what I was going to address tonight. Most families today are not made up of just Jewish participants. Nearly 30% of the people in our community do not have an exclusively Jewish heritage. Among families in our religious school, this percentage is even higher. I was with a second grade class a couple of years ago. We went around the room. Only one family out of, I think, around 18 families that were gathered had Jewish and Jewish parents. For over 40 years, we in the liberal world have broken down the barriers of exclusion. We have conducted wedding ceremonies for couples where only one participant is Jewish. We have opened up Jewish status to include members whose father is Jewish and not their mother. We have transliterated the Hebrew, explained the rituals, and created self-help guides to Jewish life. There is actually Judaism for Dummies. It's true. We have made Judaism as accessible and open as possible. There's only one area we have not budged, that we have held the same line on the beam our ancestors drew generations ago. The line that puts an off-limit sign in front of the ark, that judges those that are not officially Jewish if they get too near to the scrolls. Today in Reform and Reconstructionist Jewish communities, we are much nicer about this line than ever before. But the line nevertheless exists. And this is the line I would like us to remove tonight. With your permission, I'm going to go over to the ark and take out the Torahs. We're going to need you guys, or women. Adrian, if you want to also. And we're going to ask anyone that wants to come forward to hold the Torah, if you want to come into the aisle so you can hold it. And normally when we do this and we open the ark, we rise for that entirety. But because this is a teaching lesson that we're doing today, you don't have to rise for the entire time. I give you permission to sit. And I'm going to invite Cantor Frank. You can see she's seated. She has a stress fracture, so forgive her for having to sit a little bit more. She's going to sing the song that is normally sung during the Bar Mitzvah when we pass the Torah down from generation to generation, L'dor Vador. And I'm going to invite anyone. If let's say you've been told growing up as a woman, maybe it's off limits. It's on limits now. If you're not Jewish, if you don't feel strong enough, we are all, if you want to come forward, honestly, have an opportunity now to touch the Torah. Okay? So here we go.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. L'dor vador nagid god lecha. L'dor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. L'dor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on our journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part, לדור ודור נגיד God לך. לדור ודור we protect this chain from generation to generation. Lidor vador, his lips will praise your name. Lidor vador, nagid God lecha. Lidor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Lidor vador, his lips will praise your name.
So we're going to keep the Torahs going around. I told you need a tissue box. I think we have some underneath there, right? Tonight is not only about who can touch our Torah scrolls. It's about who is part of our community. You who are gathered here today on this auspicious day, who have helped generously to support our institution, who may be brand new or have been part of our legacy congregations for generations, are all part of our Shir Shalom family. Whether you are Jewish or not, whether you know the difference between an olive and a bet, or whether you understand even the basics of Jewish tradition, we value you. I value you, and we thank you. To all of our participants of different faith backgrounds, or maybe no faith background at all, never think that you are any less a part of this community than anyone else. My door is open to you. Our doors are open to you. Without judgment, questioning, you are welcome here. We're going to bring the Torahs back up. Oh, they're still going. Okay. I'll keep going then. I got more to say. Well, listen. At the end of the Torah, Moses gathers the people to accept God's covenant. The barriers to Mount Sinai are taken down, and no one is prevented from standing under the holy mountain. No one is restricted from accepting the yoke of Torah. Moses declares, you are standing, all of you, before Adonai your God, the heads of your tribes, your elders, your officers, all the men of Israel. But Moses does not stop there. He continues, your small children, your women, your strangers in the midst, the wood choppers to the water drawers. Not only were women and children included, a radical concept at the time, but even more radical, strangers as well. He goes out of his way to even include the wood choppers and the water drawers. You might not know who these people are. They are the ones that had to leave the community and come back. To chop the wood, you have to go find the wood to find the water. But Moses goes further saying, and this is something we'll read tomorrow, not with you alone do I seal this covenant, with those of us standing here, but also with those not standing with us today. The rabbis tell us this sacred covenant, best represented by these Torah scrolls, was given directly not only to our ancestors, but to us as well. We are the ones not standing with Moses on that day. All of us. We who are gathered here tonight, from the wood choppers to the water drawers, are the ones that will ensure that these Torahs and the tradition that goes with them get transferred l'dor vador, from generation to generation. Torah is too important to be cut off from a whole segment of our community. In order to preserve this tradition we have been handed down, all of us need to be part of it. All of us need to know what it means to hold, to love Torah. All of us need to feel the weight of that responsibility in our arms. Let me conclude with a reminder of the true weight of our responsibility and a reminder that sits outside our sanctuary. Now I'm going to put these away, so hold on. Of course, Todd's the one who's left.
Making sure everybody gets it.
See, we can't help ourselves. Even if I told you to sit, you're not going to sit. Okay. So I'm going to conclude with a reminder of the true weight of our responsibility. It sits outside of our sanctuary. You might have seen it. Came to Western New York in the 1990s, a Torah scroll that's out there in our right outside the sanctuary. From the literal trash heaps of history discarded by the Nazis as they rampaged through Europe. Banned and torn beyond repair, it was likely left for dead in an attic or storage facility somewhere in Germany. Formerly from the Czech Republic, the Torah was written in the late 19th century. Was one of over 1,500 scrolls that were once part of a vibrant Jewish culture in that region. At one time, it was loved and protected, treated with the respect one pays a human being, likely read on a weekly basis at some small shtibel or somewhere in Bohemia. For decades after the war, it languished until heroic men and women rescued it and sent word throughout the Jewish world they were looking for homes for these scrolls. Dave Feld, a former president of Temple Sinai, may his memory be for a blessing, and his family answered the call, carrying the Torah himself to the former Sinai building. Later, 5 years ago, during our merger, we carried it here and we placed it on the wall outside of my office. We made a promise to protect this scroll, but one night, teenagers were running through the hallway, and the case where it was held was hit and knocked over. The fragile scroll was split in half. You can imagine the horror when we found it the next day. To hold the two halves of the scroll in my hand felt like Moses picking up the shards of the Ten Commandments after they were broken. Since that time, there has been a hole in our community. The plaques detailing the Torah's journey to Buffalo still remained, but the Torah itself was kept in our back office. Over the winter, a scribe came and sewed the two halves together. And a week before High Holy Days, thanks to Joanne, a cabinet was made and the Torah placed carefully, lovingly into its new home, where just as before it was opened to the song of the sea, where Moses announced, "Who is like you among the heavenly powers, Adonai? Who is like you, mighty in holiness, too awesome to praise, doer of wonder?" Eitz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar. It is a tree of life to all who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. The Torah is indeed a tree of life to our community. Let us hold fast to it because it is our obligation, it is our honor, an easy and a meaningful fast, and a happy and joyful new year. You could sit down.